Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson. And in this one, we're going to take a look on what we do with custom log source types, right? So as we've seen so far, we had built-in log source types for our devices. So we had one for Windows and we had one for pfSense. But what happens if we want to ingest logs from an appliance that is not built into Curator? So first of all, we would have to figure out how to send the logs from the product into Curator. But after we do that, we have to create a custom log source type for it, right? And the way we do that is by going to admin and clicking on DSM editor. And in here, we can select all the default ones, but we can also create a new one. So let's give it a name. Custom log source type. Click on save. And we can see it's a custom log source type because it has the trash can icon and all of those don't have it. So it means we can delete it because it's custom. And if we select it, we're going to get a quite short list of custom properties, and then we can add new custom properties based on our log examples. Okay, so what I would do, I would copy an event example from my custom product. I would paste it here, right? And then I would see which custom properties I'm interested to parse, and I would add them to my list here, right? I would go ahead and either, for example, if for example I would want to use account name, right? I don't have to create a new property called account name because Curator already has that property for us. And basically, custom properties are unique to each log source type. So you could have any amount of log source types, and all of them can be using this same custom property, this account name, without having to create a new account name property for each of them, because it can be shared and each log source type gets its own instance of account name. So we can safely select it, and then we can edit the parsing for it, the regex, right? We can choose regex, we can choose JSON, Ceph, Leaf, generic list, name value pair, and XML. So depending on your device, you would change the expression type here. Most of the time it's going to be regex. Some products send JSON, but if you have an option, I recommend configuring the product to send either Ceph or Leaf, because they are the types that are the easiest to work with. You don't even have to create an expression. You just type the property name, and Leaf knows to automatically extract it from the event sample, unlike regex, where you have to explicitly type in the expression itself. So if you have the option, I recommend you to do it. And if you go and take a quick look at event mappings here, this is also a very important window. And because this is a custom log source type, we don't see anything here. But let's go ahead and change, for example, to our Windows built-in one. And we're going to see that it's 318 pages, okay? So basically, event mappings takes an event ID, it takes an event category, and it assigns them a QID record, which is unique to that combination of ID and category, right? So if I go and I would copy, for example, this event sample, and I would paste it here, I can see at the preview down below that the event ID is 4688, like we've seen, and the event category is success audit. So for each built-in log source type, QRadar is parsing those two automatically, because each built-in log source type comes pre-shipped with a pre-configured amount of mappings. So we can go ahead to the filter, and if we search 4688, we can see that we have three versions here. One of them is a failure audit, one is information, one is success audit. But since our example is using success audit, we can open ahead and see that this is a QID that's going to be generated when this combination of event ID and event category is present in the event sample. So I can go ahead and edit it, and I can say that for any reason, if I see an event ID of 4688 and the event category is success audit, I want to set this event to just for example, we can choose any of those. It doesn't matter. We can also create a new QID record. So let's go ahead and call it my test event, right? And we're going to assign it to the log source type of Windows Security Event Log, and the category you can set it to whatever you want. I'm just going to do system. System information should be somewhere here. Yeah, information. I'm gonna hit save. And as we can see now, it appears on my search results. So I'm gonna click OK. What I've done now basically is I've changed it so that every time an event comes with the event ID of 4688 and an event category of success audit, I assigned it an event called my test event, right? Because previously it's been set to a new process has been created. So for example sake, I'm gonna go ahead and save it. Please don't do that on your main deployment. I'm gonna close. And I'm gonna go back to log activity, and I'm going to add a filter for this event ID that we just changed. Right, and select last 5 minutes. Okay, so since we changed it only a minute ago, it still didn't kick in. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for a second, and I'm going to resume once we see the change. Okay guys, welcome back. And as we can see, now when an event comes with this event ID of 4688, instead of getting a new process has been created event name, it's getting my test event name. With basically everything else is going to be the same, except the QID and the event name and the category. So if you have any need to create new types of events, you can do that from the DSM editor under event mappings, like we've just seen. Let me go ahead and revert the change, because I do want to not be notified about those kind of things. I can click on revert to the default mapping. click save. And now it's going to be process created events again. So usually, I mean, not usually, but almost every time, when you create a custom log source type, you would also have to configure the mappings manually. And it can get very tedious because you don't know how many types of events you're dealing with. So for example, if I had a sample event, right, and the log would look like something, product one, and then I had a pipe, and then I had a subsystem one, and then I have properties, for example, here. It would make sense to use product one as the event category and subsystem one as the event ID, or basically any properties that make sense to you, right? So if I had a property called action, and the action was success, and for example, my product is called advanced firewall, just as an example, it would make sense to use advanced firewall as the category of event, and then the action success as the event ID, right? Because the event ID is success for this case. But really, it depends on your preferences. There's no correct answer. Each administrator is going to have their own preferences. I'm just giving you guys examples based on my experience. Hopefully it's helpful so far. But yeah, you would have to paste different kinds of event samples to the editor and see how they behave from your new log source type. And you would have to decide which custom property acts best as event category and which custom property acts best as event ID. And then you would have to use either regex or JSON or Ceph or Leaf and catch those values so that they would be automatically assigned in parsing time to event category and event ID. And in the next video, I'm going to talk a bit more in depth about parsing custom properties. We did see a quick example on our rules section, but in the next video, we're going to go more depth about that. So I will see you guys then.